welcome to Almost Heaven, where tonight on Big 12, now on ESPN+, a 2021 NCAA tournament rematch. West Virginia hosts Morehead State at the Coliseum. We welcome you courtside. Nick Farrell here alongside the Hall of Famer Warren Baker. Angelica Trinone is the third member of our team. For Morehead State, second top caliber opponent in 4 games. For West Virginia, coming off a victory over rival Pitt. Bake, what do you want to see from the Mountaineers after that?
I want to see a lot of the same from Friday night. That was a huge win against the arch rival, a Power 5 school. Morehead's dangerous. West Virginia will have to be ready.
Absolutely so. In fact, the Eagles are the preseason favorite to win the Ohio Valley Conference. They're led by 6th-year head coach Preston Spratlin, who led them to an OVC tournament title in 2021. That gave them an automatic berth to the NCAA tournament, where they met, guess who? Bob Huggins and the Mountaineers at Lucas Oil Stadium. And Coach Huggs that night earned career win number 900. He currently sits on 918 career wins, needing 2 more to tie Jim Calhoun for 920. He's number 2 among active head coaches. We're set to go here at the WVU Coliseum. Tip-off coming in just a moment. Here's a look at the starting lineups for both teams. Starting with the visitors, Mark Freeman, the transfer from Illinois State, is the starting guard for Morehead State. 4 guards, 1 forward. The forward to keep an eye on is Alex Gross. For West Virginia, 4 starters making their 3rd start of the season, then 1 making his 1st as a Mountaineer. That man is the Texas transfer and Pittsburgh native, Trey Mitchell. Here we go at the Coliseum. Jimmy Bell wins the opening tip for the Mountaineers in all white, attacking the hoop to the right. Morehead State in black from head to toe with blue and gold trim, attacking the basket to the left. Kedrian Johnson's pass is picked off by Jake Wolf. Referees tonight, Ray Natili, Darren George, and Byron Jarrett.
Kedrian Johnson's pass just a little too long. That's a long distance to get it in. West Virginia starting man-to-man, just as Morehead State did.
Drew Thelwell goes inside to Alex Gross, in and out, and Trey Mitchell has the board. Mountaineers coming off an 81-56 victory over Pitt. Offensive foul on Trey Mitchell.
I thought it was a good call. Trey Mitchell a little anxious, trying to get to the hole. Good defensive position to charge. That's 2 turnovers early for the Mountaineers.
Mountaineers extending their pressure now. Thelwell trying to work it inside. Jimmy Bell commits the foul in the key. That's 2 quick team fouls for West Virginia. Bake, give us your keys to the game here. Let's start with the visiting Eagles. What do they have to do to stay in this one and have a shot tonight?
Well, they need to execute on the half court. West Virginia's going to put a lot of pressure on them. And because of their size difference and being a smaller team, they have to box out. If they don't box out and allow the Mountaineers to rebound, they're going to have a tough time winning.
What about for West Virginia coming off that exciting victory over the Panthers? What do you want to see from the Mountaineers?
Need to see them play well in the first 5 minutes. That'll tell us a lot about how this game's going to go, and they need to own the glass. So far, so good. West Virginia coming down with another rebound. They've got to execute on the offensive end. That
time it's Matthews with the board. Mountaineers have out-rebounded their first 2 opponents. Stevenson's 18-footer is good to open the scoring.
You have to like Eric Stevenson because he can get just about any shot he wants at any time.
What do you think about the Mountaineers extending the pressure here? A little bit of full court man early. 3 ball is off from Wolf. Bell can't connect with Matthews. Another turnover for the Mountaineers.
Not good. Everybody in the building knew where he was going to try to throw that ball just now. That was a telegraph pass and another turnover, and that's something I know that's not pleasing Huggs at all this early in the ball game.
Wolf against Trey Mitchell. Screen and roll from Gross down low, and the Eagles are on the board.
West Virginia came out to double. Gross is very smart. He rolls, good pass, easy layup.
Mountaineers 2-0 to start the season, also victorious over Mount St. Mary's. Their margins of victory, 18 points and 25. Steal by Thelwell, pick Johnson's pocket. Can't get the basket to fall, but he'll go to the line.
West Virginia foul whistle.
Well, we talked about execution in the half court. Look good recognition by Wolf. Finds Gross inside. You can tell those guys have worked together. Another look at it. He rolls right down the middle. Trey Mitchell a little late getting there.
At
and
the line from Morehead State, number 3.
West Virginia has got to stop giving the basketball away.
Thelwell hits the first of 2. He's now 4 for 5 on the season. Coach Preston Spradlin for Morehead State, 94 career victories as the leader of the Eagles, as Thelwell, the Florida native, hits both to give Morehead State a 4-2 lead. Mountaineers 4 turnovers in the first 2 minutes, 40 seconds of action. Cross court to Matthews. Mitchell lost it. This is Mogmer in transition. A lot of contact, offensive foul.
Well, we said it was going to be early, the first 5 minutes of the ball game, and West Virginia being very, very sloppy here early on. And I think that was something that Coach Huggins was very, very nervous about.
Well, Bake, you said your key to the game for West Virginia was going to be determined in the first 5 minutes. Through 3, a little bit sloppy.
Yeah, they are. You know, I don't know whether they're still thinking about the Pitt game or not, but this ball club's not one that you can mess around with.
Mountaineers have committed 5 turnovers in the early goings of this contest, trailing by a bucket. Matthews to Johnson, 5 to shoot. Johnson pulls up, didn't hit rim. Another strong defensive possession from the Morehead State Eagles. They'll push the tempo. Mothmer across court. Johnson out of play. It'll stay with the Eagles.
West Virginia's offensive execution right now, boy, you could only say it's poor at best. I mean, they are not getting anything done.
Thelwell lets one go from the right wing. Mountaineers get the board. Jimmy Bell. Here's Stevenson, pull out from the top of the arc. Off iron again. It'll stay with West Virginia after the foul.
Foul is whistled on number 45, Alex Gross, his first, team foul number 2.
Well, Alex Gross knows that he's got to do his best to keep, and Jimmy Bell's a big body to try to box out, all 275, or I think he's north of 275. He's a load to try to box out.
Foul was on Gross. He'll exit. L.J. Bryan checked in. Jimmy Bell, 6'10", 270 plus, even though he did lose 70 pounds before the start of this season. Baby hook, got it to go. Tie game.
Boy, a nice move by Bell. Cleared up some space. A little worried that they might call an offensive foul, but they didn't, and we're needing to see that out of it. Uh-oh.
Looks like Coach Huggins just got whistled for a technical foul. That is indeed the case.
A technical foul has been called against
and Coach Huggins still has something to say to Darren George, who teed him up on the far sideline.
Hugs wanted a foul called on that last play with Jimmy Bell.
Well, we'll clean this up after we step aside for a quick break. West Virginia and Morehead State all knotted up in 4 apiece in the early goings of the first half. 5th all-time meeting between West Virginia and Morehead State knotted up in the early goings. Let's introduce you now to our sideline reporter tonight, Angelica Trinone.
Well, Nick, the last time that these two head coaches matched up, as you talked about, was in the 2021 NCAA tournament, and it was a memorable one for Bob Huggins, a milestone victory, career win number 900. But the moment was just as memorable for the head coach on the other sideline in Morehead State's Preston Spradlin. Now, he says going up against a guy on the other sideline like Bob Huggins is something that you dream about as a coach. And he said while he did not come out on the winning end, if you're going to lose to a Hall of Famer, that's still a pretty special moment as a fan of the game. He says he remembers being a GA at Kentucky and always having Hugs come down to the clinics. He says Hugs may not remember their interactions, but one thing he will never forget, the opportunity to give head coach Bob Huggins his Diet Coke whenever he was at those clinics. And he also told us he likes his attire as well. He felt a little underdressed at Indiana, but he said coming here to the Coliseum, he knew in his pullover he would be right at home.
Exactly right, Angelica. Thanks for that update. So before we went to break, Coach Huggins was issued a technical foul, so Mark Freeman will shoot a pair. Freeman hits the first. Morehead State 3 for 3 from the foul line in the first 4+ minutes. By the way, history again for Huggins tonight. He's coaching in his 1,318th game. That breaks a tie with Jim Calhoun for 5th all time. Watch the left side of your screen here. That's where the commotion happens as Coach Huggins picked up the technical foul. Referee Darren George hits him with the tee. And Freeman hit both, so that gives Morehead State the lead, but it's another offensive foul, that one on Freeman. Good defense by Johnson.
Let's go back to the technical for just a second. I know Hugs was thinking that Jimmy Bell was fouled inside. I'm going to tell you right now, that technical was as much for his team as it was for the officials. He doesn't like the way his official starts. He doesn't see the fire. He's going to show them the fire.
Well, Bake, let's go back to one of your keys for West Virginia. It was the first 5 minutes, and maybe Coach Huggins is frustrated with those first 5 minutes.
West Virginia was still on the bus coming back from Pitt the first 5 minutes just now.
Common theme for teams coming off big victories like that. Will you have a letdown? Will you be focused for the next game?
I think Hugs was trying to focus his team just now with that technical.
So Matthews missed the 3. We've got a whistle and a stoppage on the baseline. It's going to stay with Morehead State.
Checking in for Morehead State, number 1, Tucson Redding.
Well, Wolf hit the deck. Johnson there deflected it and must have hit it out of bounds.
Ray Natilli was standing right there, so I'm assuming he had a much better view than I did.
Bryan's pass is deflected. Eagles have 10 to shoot. Newcomer Tucson Redding on the ball. Now with 6 and 5 on the timer. Redding pulls up. Off iron, offensive rebound. Redding will try a 3. Misses again. Out ball West Virginia. More substitutions for West Virginia. We've got Kobe Johnson checking in, as well as Joe Toussaint, Kedrian Johnson, Eric Stevenson to the bench. So the lineup for West Virginia: Emmett Matthews, Joe Toussaint, Mo Wagee, a recent entrant during that timeout, Trey Mitchell, and Kobe Johnson. Mountaineers trailing by a bucket. Slow start against Morehead State. Mitchell for 3. Redding with the rebound. Redding pushing the tempo. Wolf stepping in. Good find at the elbow. Bryan.
Well, you have to like the way that Morehead State passes the ball. They recognize and find open guys. They look for mismatches. They look for double teams. They've done a nice job offensively.
That ends a field goal drought for the Eagles that was nearing 3.5 minutes. They lead by 4 points. 4 points off field goals, 4 points from the free throw line. Toussaint tries to cross up Redding. He's got 8 to shoot. Toussaint coming off a great performance against the Panthers, trying to get open. Toussaint, shot clock violation.
Shot clock violation.
Boy, the offensive execution for the Mountaineers, it just isn't there. Now, I don't know, Joe Toussaint was doing a lot of dribbling just now. I don't know if the Mountaineers were standing around or his head was down, but in any event, it was a very, very poor possession.
Toussaint had a team-high 18 points against the Panthers and 5 assists. The transfer from Iowa fitting right in the backyard brawl. Offensive execution for both teams, not great, Bake. They're a combined 4 for 15 from the floor. Eagles shooting 25%, Mountaineers 29%. Traveling, another turnover for Morehead State as Wolf walked with it.
Well, I agree with you, Nick, on that, but the baskets that Morehead State, they did execute nice to get some mismatches, some rolls in the basket. West Virginia hasn't done anything like that yet.
Mountaineers trailing by 4 with just over 13 left in the first half. Only buckets from Stevenson and Bell. Mitchell doubled. Mitchell splits the double. What a bucket from the transfer. Trey Mitchell, basket and the foul. Big time stuff.
What a play by Mitchell.
Whistled on Morehead State's number 22, L.J. Bryant, his second, team foul number 4.
One of the things that Morehead State will do when the ball goes into the post, they will double team. And if you look at that kid, Mitchell was double teamed, and he was still able, with his athleticism, to get around, get a dunk, and have a chance for a three-point play.
Boy, the ceiling for this kid, Bake, is so high, isn't it? The former UMass Lowell and Texas Longhorn forward. Mitchell makes it a one-point game. Coach Huggins saying after the Pitt game he's still not 100%.
No, he's not.
And that once he is to 100%, better look out. Freeman working against Toussaint. Toussaint almost picked his pocket. Wagee out for the double. Inside to Gross with a good move.
Another good recognition by Morehead. They saw that double team, found Gross down low, and Gross was able to get it up and in.
Gross leading all scorers with 4 points. Johnson wants to go back to Mitchell, demanding the ball. Just like the last possession, Mitchell gets it inside, and he gets the membership roll.
Mitchell.
Mountaineers settling down and finding their 6'9" senior Trey Mitchell on back-to-back possessions. Freeman, tough shot.
Boy, I'll tell you what, nice move. I mean, you got Joe Toussaint on you. He kind of shook him and elevated, got that bank down.
That's 4 points now for Mark Freeman, who they call Swag. Mitchell will look at a 3. Wagee couldn't get it. Rebound, Khalil Thomas. We've got an Eagle down here in the backcourt. It's Alex Gross, the NAIA transfer.
On the floor.
We'll step aside for a quick break with Morehead State leading West Virginia 12-9. Back here at the WVU Coliseum with West Virginia trailing Morehead State by 3 points. A moment ago, the Eagles grad transfer forward Alex Gross took an elbow from Wagee right there. Looks like to his upper lip.
Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. You can
Don't really see it here, but you can see after the play. He's stunned and then goes down to the floor. So Gross did come off the floor on his own power. Looked like he might have been a little bit bloodied up.
Wagee hit him. Nothing intentional. That was just the action of the basketball game.
We'll see if we can get an update on the 6'10" grad transfer forward from Angelica Trenone in a little bit. Meanwhile, Mountaineers get a 5 count.
Yep, turning up the heat, full court, trying to get some energy here. Sometimes you get your offense jump-started by your defense. And I think that's what Hudson is doing right now.
4th Eagles turnover. West Virginia had 5 turnovers in the first 5 minutes, but has not had a turnover in the last 3.5. Both teams even in points in the paint at 6. Both teams even at rebounds at 6 apiece. Play resumes after an inadvertent whistle. Kobe Johnson has it at the top of the circle with 10 to shoot. Mitchell kicks to Toussaint for a triple. He got it.
Joe Toussaint.
Give Trey Mitchell all the credit in the world. He recognized the double team coming, able to hit Toussaint. That's what you have to do when you get double teamed like that.
Tie ball game now, and Trey Mitchell has contributed to the last 3 West Virginia baskets, scoring 5 points and getting the assist on a Toussaint 3.
Got
that,
a mismatch inside. Ooh, good job by McGee to change.
They still go inside. Bryan lost it. And that's 5 turnovers now for the Eagles. Other way, quick, it's Kobe Johnson. Back-to-back triples for West Virginia.
Johnson for 3.
Bob Huggins going to his bench, finding a spark.
Quick 6-0 run for West Virginia. Mountaineers have made 4 of their last 5 field goal attempts and lead by 3. Bryan down low against Mitchell. Got it back.
Basket by Bryan.
4 points now for the senior from Maryland for Morehead State. Keeping an eye on Alex Gross, the Eagle injured a moment ago. He's getting ready to check back in as we're under 10 minutes left in the first half. Trey Mitchell demanding the ball down low on a mismatch with Drew Thelwell.
They're sending a man to double team him, but right now, I would front Trey Mitchell. If he gets it, there's nobody, 2 guys can't stop him.
Mitchell leading all scorers now with 7 points as the Mountaineers lead by 3. Offensive execution getting a little bit better now. Redding gets by Mitchell and drains a jumper. First bucket for Tucson Redding, the Northeast Oklahoma A&M transfer. 5 scorers now for the Eagles. They're down by 1. It's Johnson at the top of the arc, over to the far side to Joe Toussaint. Trying to work off a screen from Wagi. 3 to shoot from Toussaint, the floater, just a touch long. Much better offensive execution, though, up to this point. Mountaineers, 5 of their last 7 field goals have gone in. Eagles, the same. Well, 5 of their last 8. As Wolf misses the layup.
Foul is whistled
and then commits a foul.
L.J. Bryan picks up his 3rd.
Correction, the foul is on L.J. Bryan.
Team foul.
Boy, Wolf with a straight line drive to the basket, just didn't get it to drop. We've seen that be a problem for the Mountaineers from time to time. He had a clear shot all the way in, just didn't finish.
By the way, that's Bryan's 3rd foul. It's 5th all-time meeting between West Virginia and Morehead State. Mountaineers 4-0 in the all-time series, but it's been more than 40 years since these teams met here in Morgantown. West Virginia won that game in February of 1981, 82-69. It'll stay with West Virginia with 10 on the shot clock. The most recent meeting, of course, at Lucas Oil Stadium in the NCAA tournament, then 2 other meetings in Charleston.
Jimmy Bell had good position inside. His mistake that time was bringing the ball down and allowing the defense to collapse and get it.
6 to shoot. Matthews to Kobe Johnson, now 3 to shoot from Toussaint. Rebound, Morehead State, Trent Scott.
Good box out by Morehead that time down.
Scott, Gross, Freeman, Thomas, and the ball handler Moffmer in for Morehead State. Toussaint hassling Freeman. Great defense from the Iowa transfer, but it'll stay with the Eagles. 8 on the shot clock.
Nick, we talked to him before the game and said, you got to get Freeman in a lot of trouble, and he did.
Gross, got to get a shot up. Offensive foul. It's getting physical, and the offensive execution is getting better. That's why West Virginia has a 1-point lead over Morehead State. Mountaineers buckling down on defense, too. 17-16 the score.
Back here at the WVU Coliseum, where Joe Toussaint just put on display the area he says he's most confident in his game. his defense. He said he learned a lot this offseason going up against Kedrian Johnson, who they think is one of West Virginia's top defenders. Now, he says he feels the most confident with Keedy out there on the court, but he says they both foul a lot, so he understands why they're not out there at the same time. He said a big reason he came to West Virginia was to play Bob Huggins' defense. He feels that's his most valuable role on this team, and whether it's him or Keedy, defense is at the forefront of Joe Toussaint's game.
Hey, Angelica, I heard that Joe Toussaint almost ended up in your lap at the backyard brawl on a breakaway layup. Is that right?
That's correct. It was a pretty fancy and one, and you know what? It gave us a pretty good meme. A little tongue sticking out, and I said, hey, that's what happens when you're up 20 on Pitt, right?
I would say so. Thanks, Angelica. Nick Farrell, Warren Baker, Angelica Trinone with you this evening from the Coliseum. A turnover for West Virginia. Mark Freeman the other way. He's got 6 points, and that's West Virginia's first turnover in at least the last 7 minutes of action. Both teams now with 6 total turnovers. West Virginia has not scored in the last 2.5 minutes and now trails by 1 against Morehead State. Back and forth first half. And another turnover for West Virginia.
Wow. Well, that time offense stale again. Emmett Matthews has the ball in the corner. Nobody's moving, everybody's standing around, and that's a recipe for a turnover.
Morehead State 16 fouls, West Virginia 4 as we enter the final 7 minutes of the first half. Mountaineers trailing by a point. Offensive foul. It was Emmett Matthews who hit the deck hard.
Foul is whistled on
substitutions here for West Virginia. Kedrian Johnson and Seth Wilson checking in. It was Scott who committed the foul. That's now 17 fouls for Morehead State. Hey, Big, want to go back to the point about Joe Toussaint that Angelica made. He's checked out for a moment. He's the type of guy that's a Bob Huggins player, isn't he?
Oh, he certainly is. You and I talked to him before the game and talked about his defense, and he said, yeah, I'm going to get right in, you know, get up there and make Freeman really work. And we saw parts of that just a second ago.
Stevenson tries the reverse layup. Jimmy Bell fights on the offensive glass and gets the putback.
Jimmy Bell.
And a travel.
Well,
substitution.
This is the type of offense Hugs wanted to see out of Jimmy Bell. Jimmy Bell had really had trouble getting into the rhythm of what they want done, but we've seen a couple of nice moves out of him already tonight. A couple of hook shots, and that left-handed fall away. He needed that for confidence.
Kedrian Johnson running the offense for West Virginia. Bell, Stevenson, Matthews, and Wilson also on the floor. Stevenson long two, back iron. And a run out for Morehead State. Good defending, but a foul. Thought Stevenson got a clean block, but it was Johnson who committed the foul that will send Moffmer to the foul line.
West Virginia wants to try to prevent these runouts. If Morehead can rebound, they're going to have somebody take off and try to get easy one, which they did just now. Morehead's doing a nice job on the defensive boards. West Virginia with 2 offensive rebounds thus far, but the Mountaineers really want to see that number go up.
Moffmer misses the first. He's now 4 for 6 on the season. The chant is Chick-fil-A, Bake, because if a player misses 2 free throws in a row at any point, a row in the Coliseum gets free Chick-fil-A. Not this time.
No.
Was hoping it might be us, Bake.
Well, I was going to say, I hope that row is right here where we're sitting.
Moffmer now the 6th scorer for the Eagles. Tie ball game, 19 apiece. Bell with it at the high elbow. Looking for Matthews inside, off-ball foul. I think it was Moffmer who just made the free throw, who got tied up with Matthews on the low block.
His second, team foul number 8.
Well, you know, Emmett Matthews, with his size, had good position inside.
Matthews at the line,
Moffmer fouled him trying to get around that position, so Emmett with a good job of posting up.
The 6'7", 5th year gets a 1-and-1 opportunity, makes the first. That's 2 fouls, by the way, on Moffmer. 18 fouls for the Eagles. West Virginia with just 5 team fouls. Another substitution. It'll be Drew Thelwell re-entering, and Moffmer, who just picked up his second foul, exiting. Matthews had a team-high 15 points in the win over Mount St. Mary's. Followed that up with 10 against the Panthers. A returning newcomer, Emmett Matthews is. He's now 4 for 4 from the foul line this season. Played last season at Washington, first 3 seasons of his career here at WVU for Coach Huggins. He's back to finish out his collegiate career with the Mountaineers. Four ties, 4 lead changes. Bell with a rejection.
Boy, good job by Bell. Good execution by Morehead State, but a better play by Bell.
Matthews looking for Stevenson. Back to Matthews from 3. No good, but a great rebound by Seth Wilson on the offensive glass. Not that time. 5 minutes left, first half. Tight one between West Virginia and the preseason favorite to win the Ohio Valley Conference. Freeman lost it off Trey Mitchell. Here come the Mountaineers. Stevenson. Draw the foul.
Ball is whistled on number 3, Drew Thelwell, his first.
Well, nice recovery by Jimmy Bell. He was out double teaming. You'd expect someone to rotate back to be there, but he made a good recovery and got the block. It's tough to block a shot from behind like that without picking up a foul.
So great defense by Bell to preserve the lead. Stevenson can add to it. Got the first one.
Trey Mitchell.
Well, we mentioned the Ohio Valley Conference. That's where Morehead's from. The Morehead State Eagles, 270 miles away from Morgantown, West Virginia. They won the OVC tournament in 2021. That gave them an automatic berth to the NCAA tournament, where they were defeated by Bob Huggins' Mountaineers. The OVC tournament, by the way, is the kickoff to March Madness. It's the first tournament champion crowned at the Division I level. So that means when the Eagles won that title 2 years ago, Preston Spradlin was the man of the hour in Kentucky and nationally. He said he did more than 60 interviews in the week leading up to the NCAA tournament. Freeman has 8 points after that tough layup. It's a 2-point Mountaineer lead.
Tell you what, Mark Freeman is a handful. You know, only 5'11", but I'm telling you what, he has no fear of going inside. Extremely quick.
Mitchell swishes. He's got 9. 4-point West Virginia lead.
Offensively, Trey Mitchell, no question. Hugg said his defense has to improve.
Mitchell now with 9 points and 2 assists for the guys in white. It's Scott down low, basket and the foul. Trent Scott from Tampa, Florida, getting on the score sheet and making it a 1-possession game once again.
Good. West Virginia foul called on Mohamed.
We've gone back and forth, 4 lead changes and 4 ties. The Mountaineers currently lead by 2, 25-23 over Morehead State. Morehead State's Trent Scott's going to go to the free throw line for an and 1 in just a moment. But first, we just saw Jimmy Bell with a big-time rejection a moment ago. Angelica, thoughts on him?
Well, Nick, he said that Jimmy Bell, who arrived on campus, probably wouldn't have been able to make that move because he's lost 75 pounds since then. When he arrived at West Virginia for his official visit, he was 350, and he said, oh boy, this has to change. He was working out 3 to 4 times a day. The weight was dripping off. To Bake's point about the hook shot, he said the hook and the 15-foot jumper were something he's able to do. Now that he's 75 pounds down, he's able to use his body better defensively and offensively, and I think that was a display of that, what we saw right there.
Thanks for that, Angelica. Boy, Bell, 6'10" senior, is quite the presence in the paint.
The one thing that Huggs always said about Jimmy Bell that he liked, said he had good feet.
Oh.
Really good feet. We also said, can you imagine him being a defensive end?
Oh, look at those shoes, too. Oh, my goodness. Scott hit the and one, so he completes the conventional three-point play. Back to a one-point game. Morehead State does not have the size or strength advantage. That would go firmly to West Virginia, but still the Eagles have a 14-10 edge in points in the paint. Mo Wagee has something to say about that.
Wagee not doubled that time, and he had one-on-one. And he just made it look easy, but Johnson with the foul right there.
That's Johnson's third.
Substitution.
Wow.
Checking in for the Mountaineers, number 5.
Rather, his second foul. But he will exit, and Joe Toussaint comes back in. So that goes back to Angelica's point of why we don't often see those two on the court at the same time.
At the line for Morehead State, 0, Mark
So here's
Freeman.
Mark Freeman to the free throw line for a 1-and-1 as West Virginia is now over the limit with 17 fouls. First one is good. He's now 3 for 3 today. Has 9 points and leads his team with 14 made free throws this season. They call him Swag because he brings swagger to the floor. When he's playing well, his teammates feed off it. Swag Freeman is the first player in double figures with 10 points.
Well, he's shown some swag here this evening.
Coach Spradlin from Morehead State says, want to see a little bit more leadership from him, though, beyond his electric play. Want to see him develop his voice as a leader. That could be the next step for him in his playing career. Mountaineers up 1. They have 10 to shoot. Seth Wilson on the far side wing. And Stevenson traveled. Under 3 minutes left, and Morehead State has an opportunity to take the lead here on this possession. Wilson exits Matthews in, so it's Matthews, Toussaint, Stevenson, Mitchell, and Mohamed Wagee for West Virginia. For the Eagles, Freeman, Thelwell, Scott, Gross, and Wolf. That's West Virginia's 8th turnover. Oh, a good pass from Gross to find the cutter, Scott, but he pulls it back out. 6 to shoot now for the Eagles. Scott has it stripped away by Matthews.
Boy, nice hands by Matthews. Another straight line drive, though. Had he been able to control that, he was going to have a layup. Matthews with a quick hand to stop that.
Make important possessions here in the final 2.5 minutes for the Mountaineers. They've been better on offense in spurts.
In spurts, that's what it is. But we see a lot of standing around with the offense now. Now I don't know, Huggs is going to address that at halftime, I'm sure.
Mitchell again
Trey Mitchell
in the interior. He's got 11 to lead the Mountaineers. An even battle between the Mountaineers of the Big 12 and the Eagles of the OVC. Takeaway, West Virginia, Toussaint crafty in the lane.
Toussaint.
Pretty good defense to get a little bump there, but Toussaint's strong enough to get it up.
Mountaineers by 5 with 90 ticks left in the first half. Freeman gets by Toussaint, but can't finish.
Another straight line drive, and they just didn't make it. West Virginia's got to clean some of that up.
Mountaineers have hit all 4 of their last field goal attempts. We've got a whistle and a foul on the low block. It's on Trent Scott.
Follows whistled on number 11.
Boy, Bake, this was great transition play from West Virginia.
Team foul number 10.
Absorbed the bump. Could have been a blocking call there for a three-point play. But
the line for the Mountaineers, shooting a pair.
Defensively, West Virginia needs to cut off some of those drives. I don't know where the help is or what, but they're getting too many straight line drives right now.
So that was Trent Scott's second foul. Mitchell hits the first of 2. Second attempt, nothing but net. 13 points for Trey Mitchell, the Pittsburgh native. He's 3 for 3 from the line tonight. Meanwhile, West Virginia extending the pressure against the Eagles, who have gone more than 2 minutes without a point. It's a 7-point lead for West Virginia, which is tied for its largest lead of the evening. Inside to Gross to cut into the lead.
Gross does a great job of getting position inside, showing a hand, and his teammates are great at getting him the ball in a good position to shoot it.
2-possession game, final 40 ticks of the first half. Great move from Mohamed Waghi. Good contributions from the New York natives, Toussaint and Waghi here in the final minutes of the first half. 15 to shoot, 20 to play. 5-second differential between game and shot clock. A strip and a takeaway, West Virginia. Stevenson wants the oop. Mitchell takes himself.
Mitchell.
3 seconds left. Freeman at the horn, no good.
Your halftime score.
Trey Mitchell has helped West Virginia come alive on offense late in the first half. His 15 points have helped the Mountaineers take a 9-point lead over Morehead State.
Yeah, it was a good spurt here right at the end of the half. Gives West Virginia a little cushion, but a lot to be addressed at halftime.
Let's go to Angelica Trinone, who has Coach Huggins.
All right, Hugs, some turnovers early that allowed Morehead State to capitalize, but it seems offensively your team has been able to come alive here over the last few minutes. What do you need to see differently in the second half?
Well, we didn't come to play. We didn't come to play to start the game, and they did. They got some calls. Got to the foul line. We tried to up the tempo a little bit, try to get out on the open floor, and they're having a hard time guarding Trey.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, they most certainly are having a hard time guarding Trey Mitchell. He leads all scorers with 15 points as the Mountaineers lead Morehead State 37-28. Our halftime report is next on Big 12 Now on ESPN+. Teams have returned to the floor at the Coliseum. Second half of action is about to begin. West Virginia leading Morehead State 37-28 through one period. Nick Farrell and wonderful Warren Baker here courtside at the WVU Coliseum. All right, Professor Bake, you said at the beginning of this game the first 5 minutes were so important for West Virginia. Mountaineers were sluggish to start this game. Are these first 5 minutes of the second half going to be critical in this contest too?
Yes, for both teams. Yes, can Morehead, they've been resilient all day. Can West Virginia keep the pedal down now? So let's see which team can really do that here beginning the second half.
Well, let's look at the highlights from the first half. This really has been a competitive game, even though the Mountaineers lead by 3 possessions at this point. The Eagles got some scoring inside early. They had an advantage in points in the paint, and they also played some really good defense to get out in transition.
Really good interior passing, and Gross knows what to do with it when he gets the ball down low. And then you've got Freeman, who is just a blur if you don't stay in front of him.
Freeman, a preseason All-Ohio Valley Conference honoree, leads Morehead State with 10 points through the first half. Through the first half, though, the story has been Trey Mitchell, though, hasn't it, Bake, at least when it comes to scoring for West Virginia?
It has. He's put the Mountaineers on his back. If you look at the first 2 shots and even the one coming up now, he's been double-teamed each time when he scored. I mean, the guy, they've got to, I would start fronting him, as I said earlier, but he's too much to handle just one-on-one.
Mitchell's 15 points in this first half of action are already a season high for him, a career high as a Mountaineer. He had 13 against Mount St. Mary's and 8 against Pitt. So here are the numbers from the first half. Noteworthy that while both teams are shooting 50% or better from the field, Morehead State has yet to convert on a 3-point shot, 0 for 4. Meanwhile, West Virginia trailed in points in the paint at one point in this game, but now holds a 20-16 advantage. Also has a sizable edge in points off turnovers and a small edge in bench points.
Well, if you look at the turnovers, Mountaineers had 8 at the end of the half, but they had 5 or 6 in the first 6 minutes of the ball game. So they have cleaned it up a little bit, and ball security is certainly going to be important in the second half.
Our Angelica Trenone caught up with Morehead State coach Preston Spradlin out of the locker room. AT, what'd he tell you?
Well, as Hug said, they're having a hard time guarding Trey Mitchell. Coach Spradlin told me that exact same thing. He said getting to Trey better was basically the basis of that halftime message. He said he liked the way that his team was able to create steals and keep West Virginia off the glass early. He said he thought that they got away from that a little bit and allowed West Virginia to capitalize on live ball turnovers. That's an area to clean up, but he says Trey Mitchell is going to be who this team focuses on. I also asked for an update on Alex Gross. As you saw at the half, he was just bleeding from the mouth. Coach looked at me, laughed, said, just a little blood. He's fine.
Jimmy Bell is going to go to the free throw line. It was Gross who hacked him. That's his third foul.
Jimmy Bell, if he gets the ball low, he's just going to bull his way to the rim. I mean, get your chin out of the way or you might lose some chiclets. I mean, he's going to bull his way. In fact, Coach Spradlin won in an offensive foul. At some point in time, Jimmy Bell probably will get one of those called.
So here is Bell, the native of Saginaw, Michigan. He's got the first. 2 for 3 from the line this season now.
Boy, I tell you what, there's a lot of contact. Gross is saying, what in the world can I possibly do?
6'10" senior forward goes 1 for 2 from the line. You know what, Big? We talked about Bell and his size, how he dropped 70-plus pounds. Got a text message at halftime from somebody who said, check out his high school recruiting profile. Not for basketball, but for football.
Yeah.
He had an offer from Akron and interest from other Power 5 programs. So maybe there was some truth to him, maybe thinking about playing defensive end or offensive tackle on the gridiron.
Hugs and I have talked about that on a number of occasions. As Morehead drops one down, they needed that big time. But yeah, he is a big man.
Angelica has an addition to that conversation after the Moffmer basket.
Well, guys, he says that being a defensive end in high school, those skills have translated because of his footwork and what he can do with his hands. He said, listen, I've always been a big guy. A sophomore in high school, he was 380 and 6. Oh. And yes, he did play defensive end. He said he's finding a way to transfer those skills now to basketball.
Thanks for that, Angelica. Wolf on the interior sends it back out to Freeman, who lost it. Turnover, Morehead State.
West Virginia did a little better job that time of collapsing on Wolf. He was trying to do a straight line drive again, but West Virginia did a much better job. I'm sure Huds addressed that at halftime.
13 turnovers for the Eagles. For West Virginia, it's the starting lineup back on the floor to start the second half. Kedrian Johnson, Emmett Matthews, Eric Stevenson, Trey Mitchell, and Bell. Whistle off the ball, a lot of contact in the low block again. It's going to be Moffmer this time.
Whistle to number 5.
That's his third.
Moffmer trying to keep Trey Mitchell from getting position inside. Just got a little too aggressive with it, but Mitchell was going down to post up low again.
So Preston Spradlin takes Moffmer out of the game. Trent Scott re-enters for Morehead State. Meanwhile, Gross is still on the floor with 3 personals.
Well, that big battle inside.
Stevenson from deep. Rebound, Morehead State. Wolf behind the back to Freeman. Freeman will pop a 3. In and out. Loose ball. Bell gets on it for West Virginia. Matthews with a tough take inside. Oh, my goodness.
Mitchell.
That's big-time stuff from Trey Mitchell.
Big-time stuff. Wow.
He's not 100% yet, Bake. That's what Bob Huggins says. Can you imagine what he's going to do for West Virginia when he is? Scott gets Mitchell to jump. 15-footer, no good. Rebound, Morehead State. Gross with the jam.
Basket by Gross.
Well, 3 Mountaineers fighting over it, and Gross ends up getting an easy one inside after the Mountaineers couldn't corral the rebound.
Trey Mitchell, more than 1,000 career points. This is his 71st career appearance in college basketball. 2 seasons at UMass, last year at Texas. Mitchell again, he's going to go to the line. And it was Scott who fouled him, which is his third.
Picks up his third, team foul number 3.
One more look at that Trey Mitchell
timing.
Trey Mitchell.
The tip slam with authority.
I've seen a lot more contact on the foul that, with Mitchell shooting right now. But when you're a scorer like that, you get some calls. You'll get some calls like that.
Checks in for the Mountaineers.
Bell out,
LJ
Wagee
Bryant
in.
checks in for Morehead State.
Mitchell is 4 for 4 from the charity stripe tonight.
Yeah, there's not a guy on Morehead State's team at this point that can guard him the way he's playing.
Mitchell now 5 for 5 with a game-high 19 points. He has completely taken over. Here's Wolf on the near side, 15 on the timer. Wolf doubled, Kedrian Johnson steal. Mountaineers pushing. Stevenson, oop to Wagee, and one.
Boy, he hit the court hard. How athletic was that move? Control the ball with one hand.
On number 11, Scott, his fourth.
I mean, this is textbook on the transition, isn't it, Big?
Yes, it is. Boy, it's smart when you hit your elbow like that.
Check back in for Morehead State.
So Scott has exited. He just picked up his 4th foul, sending Wagee to the line.
At the line, one shot.
Two newcomers in Mitchell and Wagee have just shown what type of athletes they are.
Wagee, the 6'10" sophomore forward, misses the free throw. Well, Bake, for Morehead State, this goes back to their game against Indiana. That transition play was something that Coach Preston Spradlin didn't want to see here against West Virginia. He said Indiana did that too often, and got too many easy buckets.
Yep. West Virginia may begin just a little bit to wear them down.
Johnson back iron, no good. Matthews and Wagee fighting against each other to retain possession. Stevenson gives it to Matthews. Wagee inside against Bryan Jr., no good.
Still a nice move by Wagee.
Mountaineers have a double-digit lead, 12 points. Freeman misses. It'll be West Virginia ball. The Mountaineers have exploded in these very critical 5 minutes. They now hold a double-digit lead over Morehead State, 44-32. We'll step aside for a quick break.
Fans, please welcome back to the full-game scene.
Right, okay. Mountaineers by a dozen with 15:25 left in the contest. And boy, Bake, first 5 minutes of this contest, West Virginia, maybe not so good, but how would you grade their performance in the first 5 minutes of the second half?
More energy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, a lot more energy, and they've been able to control the boards here, and that's given them an opportunity to get in that transition game. And that's not something that Coach Spradlin wanted.
Stevenson with it for West Virginia, in and out. Matthews tries to tip it in. Rebound Redding. It's Redding, Khalil Thomas, Mark Freeman, Brandon Moffmer, and LJ Bryan on the court from Morehead State. Eagles 2-1 coming off an in-state victory over Bellarmine, but lost in their season opener against Indiana. Stevenson almost stripped Freeman. Moffmer inside out to Redding. Got it. That's the first three-pointer for the Eagles, and it closes the gap to 9.
Well, a nice fluid shot by Redding.
Redding has 5 points for the Eagles. Meanwhile, for West Virginia, Eric Stevenson with the ball. Now Kedrian Johnson, also in Mitchell, Matthews, Wagee. Matthews in the corner. Got it. A triple.
Matthews for 3.
Morehead at that time looked like they were in a very, may have been a man-to-man, but it looked like it was a zone, and West Virginia made them pay.
Another three-pointer from Thomas, no good. Rebound last touched by Bryan. Ball last touched by Bryan. It'll be West Virginia possession.
Well, the Eagles did not panic there. Shot clock running down, got it in Redding's hand, and he was ready to go. Yes, they are in a 2-3 zone now. West Virginia has adjusted that.
Matthews finds a soft spot, back-to-back buckets.
That
for the
free throw area is always going to be open. Get the ball in there. If it does collapse, then you've got shooters on the wing.
Matthews 7 points on 2 of 5 shooting. Meanwhile, Eagles 12 to shoot. Wagee way out against Moffmer, commits the foul.
You can just see the athleticism of Wagee. He can go out and guard a much smaller guy at 6'11".
That's Wagee's second personal. West Virginia's first team foul of the second half. Eagles have committed 4 team fouls. The Eagles have 3 players with 3 fouls and another player, Trent Scott, with 4. Bryan, Gross, and Moffmer all with 3. 2 of those guys, Moffmer and Bryan, on the court right now. It's Bryan with it, low block against Wagee. Right-handed hook, no good. Stevenson to Matthews, the fellow Washington natives. Back to Stevenson, Mountaineers working against the zone. Wagee, traveled with it, no, tie-up. It'll stay with West Virginia.
Possession arrow to the Mountaineers. Checking in for the Eagles.
Trey Mitchell coming over, giving Wagee a little bit of coaching, saying, hey, keep those hands out. You won't reach in and get that foul.
Redding and Freeman exiting, Wolf re-entering for Morehead State along with Drew Thelwell. 10 to shoot for West Virginia. Stevenson near side, step back Jay.
Eric Stevenson for 3.
Well, you get Stevenson out there and challenge him, and he's going to go at you.
It's a 7-0 run for the Mountaineers. Stevenson has 7 points after his first 3 ball of the night. 16 points, largest lead of the night. Here's Trey Mitchell in transition all the way. Trey Mitchell did not care that Brandon Moffmer was sticking right with him.
Oh my, that length that he has.
Listen to this Coliseum crowd. Another steal. Clear the runway for Keedy Johnson. In and out. But Johnson got it back. Stevenson a 3. Everything clicking now for West Virginia. Timeout Morehead State. The Mountaineers lead by 21, and this place has exploded. It's a 12-0 West Virginia run over the last 2.5 minutes. We're going to step aside for a quick break. It is all Mountaineers, and more specifically, all Trey Mitchell. He leads everybody with 21, and the Mountaineers are rolling. It's only his 3rd appearance as a Mountaineer, but Trey Mitchell has 21 points, the most in his Mountaineer career, and boy, has he been electric tonight. He carried the team in the first half, 15 points, was scoring when nobody else could do it, and then just a moment ago, in transition with the left-handed slam after the steal, taking it on his own. 21 points for Mitchell to lead all scorers. If you're wondering if he's getting close to a career high, the answer is not even. He had 37 points at UMass against... He had 37 points in a game for UMass during his stint there, back when he was an all-A-10 performer. His career high during his season at Texas was 19 points. So in his time as a Big 12 player, this is a new high water mark.
Well, and he showed you his versatility. In the first half, it was down low. He was taking the ball, taking it to the big guys, being double teamed, and now we see what he does in the open court.
And Big, I know we've said this a couple of times, still not 100%.
No.
We're really seeing some flashes of brilliance from Mitchell tonight. Almost got the steal there as the inbound pass found its way to Scott. Wolf running the point, gives it to Thelwell. Thelwell, Wolf, Scott, Bryan, and Thomas on the floor for Morehead State. Khalil Thomas off iron. Thomas tries to get his rebound, can't. Johnson keeps it in play. Johnson to Stevenson, oh my goodness.
Boy, the roof would have come off the building if that had gone down.
Man, and you know what? Johnson picks a pocket. Stevenson to Matthews. An errant pass gives it back to Morehead State. Wolf, Thomas to the corner to Thelwell. That's a gift for the Eagles.
Well, West Virginia a little too cute the last time down. You know, you make one highlight reel play, the next one make it to a simple play. West Virginia had a 2-on-1 and did not get a shot up. Hugs was furious about that.
Mountaineers leading by 18. They're looking for their third win in a row and third win by double digits. Jimmy Bell rejected at the rim by Khalil Thomas. Boy, there's a significant size differential there. Thomas 6'5", getting the better of the big fellow Bell, who's 6'10". Thelwell off the glass, no good. Offensive foul. Bryan picks up his fourth foul. Well, the Eagles trail by 18 points, but they may not go away quietly. Thomas, a new face on the WVU bench, but a familiar one. Angelica Trinone has the story on Alex Ruoff's return to West Virginia. What's up, 18?
Well, Nick, Ruoff announced his retirement from professional basketball on August 19th, and within a few hours, he made another announcement, that being that he was going to be a graduate assistant for his former head coach, Bob Huggins. Ruoff told me it was a simple conversation. It took place on Hug's porch, and he told him, I think I can help you in one area you were missing last year, work ethic. I asked Ruoff, what's his coaching style like? He says he's big on accountability and enthusiasm. He feels he can connect with the players because of his age, and he hopes one day to be coaching here at the Coliseum.
Thanks, Angelica. Wouldn't that be something? As Jimmy Bell draws the foul, will go to the free throw line. Bake, your thoughts on Alex Ruoff? What does a guy like that bring to this team after playing a decade plus of pro ball?
Well, first of all, with him on the staff now, he knows exactly what Hugs expects of these guys, and they kind of really relate to him. The other thing is he's played pro ball. He's been overseas, he's played. These guys will listen to him because a lot of them have that same ambition to play pro at some level. Well, they need to listen to a guy like Alex because he can let them know what needs to be done. So that's very, very huge and valuable for Hug's staff.
Bell hit the first of two free throws, and the second.
By far, Jimmy Bell's best performance of the year. But needed to get him on track, and that just happened.
Full court press for West Virginia. It's a 14-3 Mountaineer run over the last 4+ minutes. Bell has 7 points, which is a season high. Also has 5 rebounds tonight. Here's Scott for Morehead State, 15 to shoot. Scott against Emmett Matthews. Back to Thelwell. Toussaint thought he had it. Thelwell open 3. Bell rips the board. Wolf commits the foul. That's Jake Wolf's first personal.
Boy, Wolf is very brave to stick his head in around one of those big elbows.
So that's 17 fouls already, by the way, as we look again at the grit.
There's a good chance you're going to lose that battle, Wolf. I'm telling you.
Yeah, right. That's a defensive lineman right there that's staring you down 270. I don't know. I wouldn't do it, Fake.
No, I wouldn't either.
So it's back to the foul line for Jimmy Bell, who's making himself at home at the stripe here in the second half. Under 10 minutes left. Mountaineers leading by 20, their largest lead, 21. Bell with the first.
And a soft touch by the big fellow.
8 points now, with 4 of them coming from the free throw line. Coach Huggins nearing in on win 9-19, which would put him 1 away from tying Jim Calhoun for 3rd place all time. Bell misses the second, back to the largest lead, co-largest lead for West Virginia of 21. Scott past a couple Mountaineers. Bryan can't finish the putback.
Well, West Virginia's got a mismatch inside with Trey Mitchell if they can find him.
Mitchell trying to post up. Toussaint's going to pop one from 17. Can't find the net. 9 minutes left. Mountaineers leading 59-38. Good pass inside. Bryan can't finish, but Bell will send him to the line.
Kobe Johnson called for the personal.
Well, Coach Bob Huggins, a Hall of Famer, no longer a future or surefire Hall of Famer, but a true Hall of Famer. He's second among active coaches in career victories. Jim Boeheim, the only other active head coach on this list. As Bryan misses the first of two from the stripe. We know, Bake, that Coach Huggins doesn't really get caught up in the milestones, but this is just another one that's so impressive over the course of his 40-plus year career.
Exactly, yeah. Well, you know, knowing him the way I do, he doesn't talk about stuff like that, but this was huge. This meant a lot to him, as well it should.
20-point West Virginia lead. They're led tonight by Trey Mitchell with 21 points. Great crossover by Kobe Johnson to the cup.
Kobe Johnson.
That's 5 points now for the native of Canton, Ohio, and it stretches the lead to 22, West Virginia's largest of the night. Wolf, offensive foul. Great positioning from Mo Wagee to draw the charge.
It was.
Offensive foul whistled on Morehead State's number 24, Jake Wolf. The second team foul.
Wolf commits his second foul.
Khalil Thomas.
Nice job by Wagee to get good position.
Look at the smile, too, from Mo Wagee, the Bronx, New York native. Seems like he's a guy that loves to have some fun on the hardwood. Junior college transfer from Harcum College. Toussaint to Seth Wilson to Emmett Matthews with 11 on the shot clock. Long two from Emmett.
Emmett Matthews, his shot since he left and is back now just improved so much.
We're going to see the first action for Pat Sumnick in a Mountaineer jersey in a moment. He's at the scorer's table. Freeman's long triple in and out. Here comes the cavalry for West Virginia. Johnson to the rack. Can't get the roll. Wagee punched it. It'll be Morehead State ball when we come back. Well, it's been the Trey Mitchell show tonight, but the Washington kids, Eric Stevenson and Emmett Matthews, both have 9 points. It's good to... The lead keeps growing for West Virginia. Mountaineers leading Morehead State 63-39 thanks to a 19-4 run over the last 6+ minutes. Big Emmett Matthews, he is home. He says he's happy to be back at West Virginia. Just has such a bright demeanor. A guy that really is just soaking this season up.
He's so calm on the court now. You know, he knows exactly what's expected of him. Now, you've got him on one side, and you've got Trey Mitchell on the other side. Those are two pretty good forwards out there shooting the basketball.
Aren't they, Bake? West Virginia with 5 true returners, but you can kind of count Emmett in that category because he played his first 3 seasons at WVU before transferring to Washington last year. So technically 5 true returners and 9 newcomers, but 6 of them have Division I experience, including Matthews, and that's been huge out of the portal this year. The Mountaineers got valuable, tested experience out of the transfer portal this season, and Matthews is at the top of that list. Pat Sumnick, one of those transfers, is in for his first minutes as a Mountaineer. Take off for Mo Wagee!
Mo Wagee!
Well, how quick is that for a 6'11" guy?
Air higher than the Empire State Building from the New York native. 8 points for him, and the Mountaineers are having some fun tonight. Great defense from the forward Wagee near the timeline. It'll stay with Morehead State. Boy, got to take a look at this again. Mo Wagee doing it all like he's a guard, but he's a 6'10" forward in transition.
Quick hands, quick off his feet, everything. 6'11".
Thomas, deep three.
3-point shot by Thomas.
First bucket for the UMass Lowell transfer, Khalil Thomas, the New Orleans native.
Sumnick on the court, just coming off an injury. This is the first action he's seen all year.
He was available for the Pitt game, did not play. Really excited about him, a kid that coaching staff telling us very, very athletic. Tip in from Moffmer. He's got 5.
Tip in by Mofford.
Hug's not happy about that tip in. Had a couple of guys there just kind of standing around.
Toussaint can't get it to go, but Wagi with the putback.
Wagi.
A flourish from the junior college transfer. He's now the second Mountaineer in double figures with 10 points. Wagi a little bit too aggressive there in the low block against L.J. Bryan. It's only the 3rd team foul by West Virginia and the 3rd personal for Wagi.
Yeah, only a sophomore, a guy like Wagi will have to understand once you get in the Big 12, you can't play behind people like that. You've got to get at least on their side or in front.
Moffmer misses Toussaint with the board. Mountaineers have the edge in rebounding margin, but the real story, points off turnovers, 28-9. Kobe Johnson from the corner. Sumnick couldn't corral the offensive board. Wagi giving up his body, trips up Bryan. Good hustle play from Wagi, but it's going to be his 4th personal and the 4th team foul on the Mountaineers.
You know, yeah, that was a foul, but that's the kind of foul a coach like Bob, that's the same kind of foul Bob Huggins used to get. Diving on the floor like that, taking somebody's feet out. So, I mean, he can relate to that.
So Jimmy Bell is back in as Wagi exits. Mohamed Wagi, 10 points. Bell, 8 for West Virginia. It's Khalil Thomas cutting to the hoop. Rejection from Bell, but a putback from Gross. Gross has 10. And that leads the Eagles.
West Virginia's energy in this second half has been just, you know, Morehead State could not match it.
And that's something you wanted to see, right, Bake? It may have taken West Virginia a little while to get there, but that was important tonight.
West Virginia just has too many bodies.
Johnson, 2 to shoot. Great take to the basket.
Kobe Johnson.
You look at the number of people that Huggins has played tonight, and, you know, at Morehead State right now, they're on fumes.
Mountaineers well on their way to another big margin of victory as Seth Wilson commits a foul on the far side.
His first team foul, number
5 team fouls now. That's the first personal for Wilson. Here's Josiah Harris, the exciting freshman from Canton, Ohio. He enters the contest for his first minutes. Rebound Sumnick. By the way, Harris, one of 2 Canton natives on this team. Sumnick! Not a bad way to mark your Mountaineer premiere. Pat Sumnick gets his first basket for the old Gold and Blue. 71-46 the score. Freeman, good hesitation. Gross and Sumnick fighting for the board. Sumnick wins the battle. Mountaineers continuing to push the tempo. Harris off the back iron. 3 white jerseys there for the offensive glass. Seth Wilson will have a try. No good. Under 4 minutes now.
Seth would like to have that shot back.
Here's Moffmer to the lane. Got it.
Basket by Moffmer.
Brandon Moffmer, the Cedarville transfer, now with 7 points. Big-time scoring distribution tonight for West Virginia, led by 21 from Trey Mitchell. Wilson, Toussaint, Sumnick, Harris, and Jimmy Bell on the court for West Virginia. 4 to shoot. Toussaint in the lane. Misses the floater. Put back Bell, good.
Nobody put a body on Bell. Not that it would make that much difference when he starts going down the lane like that.
Bell, the 3rd Mountaineer in double figures, and the 5th with 9 or more. West Virginia cruising to what will surely be its third double-digit victory in a row. Mountaineers won by 18 against Mount St. Mary's, 25 against Pitt Friday in the backyard brawl. Gross, no good. Kept in play by Khalil Thomas from the corner. He hits. 2 triples in the second half from Khalil Thomas. By the way, West Virginia dominating the backyard brawl since its resumption. 6 wins in a row for West Virginia over its arch rival, the longest winning streak since the 60s, when the Mountaineers won 9 straight. Toussaint missed another floater, transition bucket for the Eagles.
Basket by Morehead.
Well, West Virginia with a poor rotation that time. Toussaint drove down the middle. Somebody had to rotate back, and they did not do it.
Well, just about everybody getting in on the fun tonight for the Mountaineers, including the newcomer, Pat Sumnick, with his first points. After a slow start in the first half, it has been all West Virginia in the second half. Mountaineers shooting 48% from the field tonight and leading Morehead State by 20. Also have an edge in rebounding margin, 32-29. Trey Mitchell, can't say enough about him. Can't say enough about how many people are excited to continue seeing him grow under Coach Huggins' tutelage. A game-high 21 points in his third Mountaineer appearance. The transfer from Texas, phenomenal tonight.
Yeah, he has been very, very impressive. Knew that he was a good player, but I mean, my goodness, people just hadn't had a chance to see him.
Jamel King, the new entrant for West Virginia. Toussaint, Bell, Wilson, and Josiah Harris on the court for WVU. Ten seconds to shoot. Here's Josiah Harris, also known as JoJo, and Bean. Josiah Harris down low, rejected by Gross. Well, next up for Morehead State, going to go back on the road Friday against Vanderbilt. That's a 7 p.m. tip. The Eagles will be back in the Mountain State the Saturday after Thanksgiving to take on Marshall. Good hustle by Seth Wilson to Toussaint to Harris.
Josiah Harris.
Seth Wilson should get an assist out of that. Toussaint gets the assist, but Wilson should get the assist on that play.
First field goal for Harris. He had a free throw against Mount St. Mary's. Did not score against Pitt. Final minute of action. Gross will go to the line. Well, Bake, some great hustle there by the Mountaineers. They're going to go from end to end once again. Good hustle by Wilson.
That's what will get you time on the floor. If you're on the floor diving, it'll get you time on the floor playing.
That's the type of stuff that guy right there loves to see.
Exactly.
Gross makes the first. And we've got another newcomer for West Virginia. It's Josiah Davis. So Josiah Harris, maybe we should call him JoJo to differentiate the Canton, Ohio native. Davis, the Ontario native. Another substitution here for Morehead State. Reese Jones, the native of Oxon Hill, Maryland, enters.
Well, Nick, you and I had a chance to talk to JoJo Harris, or Bean, however you want it. But he said any name you wanted to call me was fine.
Final 40 seconds of this one. Davis to the cup. Oh, couldn't get it to go. Neither could Bell. And it's an offensive foul on the big man for West Virginia.
Davis did all the great hard work except lay it in. That was a tremendous move down the lane to shake some people. Got up and just didn't get it to go down.
Jimmy Bell.
Believe that's West Virginia's 7th team foul, which is going to send
second personal team foul number 7.
Which is going to send Morehead State to the line. I did not catch which player was fouled. Is it Redding? I think he's the one making his way to the line. Sumnick's going to check back in. It's a 1-and-1.
Toussaint Redding.
For Toussaint Redding, who has 5 points tonight. Bake, I just want to point something out. Forward play for West Virginia has been very good tonight. Trey Mitchell, 21. Jimmy Bell, 10. Mo Wagi, 10. What did he tell you before the game he was going to hit on his rebounds?
He said
did he make you a promise?
He said 10 is what we wanted.
Well, do you know how many he has? Not 10.
No, he doesn't have
A little
10.
bit shy of that.
But you know what? I've seen enough other stuff that I'll replace the rebounds with the hustle and the inside work.
He certainly made his presence felt tonight, even if it wasn't necessarily on the glass. Reading gets both. West Virginia going to improve to 3-0 after this victory. Next up, Penn at the Coliseum Friday night. You can watch that one right here on Big 12 Now on ESPN+. Then it's off to the Phil Knight Legacy in Portland, Oregon. Reading with the run out, misses, put back no good. Shot clock is blank. West Virginia going to maybe try to get another bucket. Wilson for 3. Can't get it to fall. But it was a dominant night for West Virginia. The Mountaineers improved to 3-0 on the young season after a 75-57 victory over the preseason favorite to win the Ohio Valley Conference. It's career win number 919 for Bob Huggins, which puts him one away from tying Jim Calhoun for 3rd place all time.
If you're going to be a good team, they're going to be nice when you have a sluggish start. Can you come out of it and end up doing what the Mountaineers did midway through the first half and the second half?
Mountaineers led by Trey Mitchell with 21 points. They're now 3-0. Morehead State falls to 2-2. For Warren Baker, Angelica Trenone, and all the hardworking members in our crew, I'm Nick Farrell saying so long from the Coliseum, where West Virginia dominated Morehead State in a 75-57 victory. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.